Shall we start then? Ankur, can we start now?
Just a second, Professor Jenny.
Okay.
Yes, we are good to go.
Okay, great. So good afternoon, everyone, and a very warm welcome to this open house organized by the Jindal School of Liberal Arts and Humanities, JSLH, as we call it. We are very happy to see all of you here. Well, we see the names at least on screen. In JSLH, we place a lot of importance on conversations and an open communication between faculty and students. So this is one of our initiatives to get to know you better. And also, we've put together a series of presentations to help you know what life in JSLH will be like. We have an hour of question answer session towards the end. So please feel free to ask us any questions. And without much ado, we'll get started with our program today. And first up is our Dean, Professor Kathleen Modrowski. So please may I welcome Professor Modrowski to extend a warm welcome to everyone here.
Okay, good morning. No, it's afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. I slept late. I'm so glad having all of you here with us, and I wish I could. You hear me? Okay, I was getting, can you hear me? Yes? Okay, I can continue. I was hearing a lot of background noise. Okay, so once again, welcome. And we're glad that you're here with us. We have tried to devise a number of activities that will bring us all closer, faculty, staff, students. We have so many questions coming from you, the students, asking us, what are we going to do? When are we going to be together? Well, we'd like to really start getting together quite soon. So we're going to create a number of, I think, very exciting initiatives that we're going to carry on remotely. Number one, and this is not in order of your preference or importance, but I think this will help us a lot. We're going to have mentor meetings. I think all of you know that we have a system of mentorship that is very, very strong, very important, where students have a mentor who is assigned to them over the entire 3-year period. And frankly, this mentorship relationship usually extends well into the future. And 3, 4, 5, 6 years from now, you'll be getting calls, we'll be getting wedding announcements and invitations from you people when you're well out of JSLH, but never far from our hearts. So we're going to organize mentor meetings that will bring you together in a group, a small group with a mentor, to have a conversation where your questions can be answered and you're going to be able to introduce yourselves to each other a little bit more. That's one initiative. The second one that we're going to have is, this is going to be a fun exercise, is a treasure hunt. Now, we will all be in lockdown in one degree or another and not on campus, but this is going to replicate something that we've done a number of years in a row when we've gone to the Jaipur Literature Festival. And this has been a treasure hunt where a number of objects or types of objects are named. You're going to have to find them in your house, in your closet, on your deck, in your community. bring them back, probably not bring them back, but take pictures of it. And then we're going to see who succeeded in a short period of time. So this is a little more complicated than what you think it will be. The third one that we're going to carry out is field trips. Now, we've had a lot of questions about field trips. So students are saying, we've heard about these fabulous field trips that you go on, that this is really, a learning process that's experiential learning. We're going to give you an introduction to some of the field trips. Some of us are able to move around more than others. We're going to give you a view of, say, museums that you would have been visiting. So we're going to do remote museums visits, and that'll be guarded. That will be a guided visit as much as we can. I have it done by the faculty who teaches the art programs. We also will be able to have remote visits in various sites that are in and around the campus here. And so we were thinking of having visits to the local artisans. Also, once we can move around Sonipat, and you'll learn to know and love Sonipat as we do. We'll have remote visits to Sonipat. You'll be familiar with the neighborhoods, the great shopping, eating places. So you'll be able to come with us to Sonipat. And then we're going to create more. Certainly, we're going to have a book hunt in the library. We'll take you there, absolutely. So there will be, many more remote visits and field trips, and we're going to ask you to invent some of these yourselves. Now, we know that you really want to see who are the people, who are your seniors, who are your guides on this. So in the past, we've had what's called the Buddy Project, and this has been very successful, in which small groups of the students will be introduced into the culture of JGU, into the ideas that have come out of JSLH. You'll be, taken into situations, exercises that would deal with subjects such as code of conduct on campus. It's not going to be a boring situation, but one in which you'll be given case studies. You'll be able to do role play. This will be a challenge, but you will be able to do role play, and we'll take up some of the critical issues that occur in the community. All this will really be run by your seniors here. So this will give you a chance to, meet people who are in the 2019 batch, the 2018 batch, and really have a sense of what kind of a program you're getting into. And then finally, oh no, wait a minute, before I get to the last one, we're sponsoring a short video contest. The shorter, the better. The more you can say in 1 minute, the better you'll be. This will really test your ability to see clearly, to use your imagination, and to say what you want to say in a very short period of time. And I am just sure you're going to all do very innovative and wonderful things with this. So we'll be sharing these on our screens. I'm not sure Instagram or how we're going to do it, but a short video contest. You did so well with the writing that we thought, okay, let's go into the visual. And then finally, we don't want to leave your parents out. So we are going to have, with the admissions office and with our offices, going to sponsor an open house for parents. You can come, but some of your parents, maybe you have told them, don't ask questions, but this will be their chance to ask questions, go into those concerns that maybe aren't the same as your concerns. So in the near future, we're going to have an open house for parents. Students can come, of course, but this is really to focus on what parents want to know, what parents need to know, and also what are some of the things that they feel they're facing in the world personally, and what they think you'll be facing in the world. So I am very excited by this program. I think it's going to be very creative, a lot of fun. It's going to test our skills, our ability to work well, do good things, and at least give you a chance to work together with us. And we'll see your faces finally. So I'm very interested in continuing this, learning more about you, and introducing ourselves and our programs to you. Okay, have a good rest of the visit, and we'll wait for your questions. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Dean Modrowski. You know, we are all getting used to this online version of communicating and of ourselves. So I realized I hadn't introduced myself. So I'm Jayani Banerjee. I teach in the School of Liberal Arts and Humanities, and I'm also the Associate Dean for Academic Affairs. So if you have questions on academic matters, I'll be more than happy to answer towards the end. But right now we have 4 distinguished faculty members from the School of Liberal Arts and Humanities to tell you a bit about academics, what it is like teaching. So first up, we have Professor Yugang Goel, who teaches economics, and he'll talk to you a bit about the importance of research in general in JSLH. And I think some of you have also joined the Jindal Fellowship Program, which is our one-year program after the undergraduate one. So Professor Yugang will tell us a bit more about the JFP, as we call it. After that, we have Professor Maria Jelinskaya Pandey, who teaches psychology. And many of you I know are interested in psychology, but today we'll hear from Professor Maria about internships. We place a lot of importance on practical experience in JSLH. We'll hear more about that. After Professor Maria, we have Professor Sucharita Sen, who teaches political science, and she will talk a bit about the idea of interdisciplinarity that you've seen probably on our brochures, on the website. What do we mean by that? And reflect a bit on how we see ourselves as teachers in JSLH. Finally, we have Professor Akhya Anzi, who teaches visual arts, and he will talk about how we integrate practical experience and arts-based approach in our courses. So over to you, Professors Yugang, Maria, Sucharita, and Akhya. Yugang, we can't hear you. You have to unmute yourself. We still can't hear you. There's a button.
So I was unmuted by the organizers, and I couldn't do it myself. So I was chatting with Ankur, who's with us. These are the beauties and perils of technology. The peril is, of course, I can't speak, and the beauties, you don't know how economics professors talk, right? But that was the good part. The more onerous part is that I also teach mathematics, which is probably more fun in my view. And I'm generally happy when by the end of the semester, most students who otherwise would be scared of mathematics turn up to me and say that they've actually enjoyed it. Shanita is laughing at me, who's one of our own students. Good guys, and this is a good, this is in a way an experimentally good space to be in. It's a learning experience, believe it or not, for us also, for me also, to be able to talk to prospective students who I can only see over a screen. This could well be a picture of yours and you're not sitting there, and I still have to, but anyway, jokes aside, I think, given all the difficulties that we have, I think you guys would be in some of those anxious moments, because just as when you start to leave your homes and go to your colleges, the pandemic has struck, not since the last 100 years. But the way I put it is, because it is very difficult for many of you, it is also imparting you unknowingly some character traits that will be very useful in the long run. Patience, for instance, or for that matter, thinking about future in a more critical manner. And it is a critical thinking really, which is primarily the outcome of engaging into any disciplinary or even interdisciplinary exercise of research. And the reason why I want to talk about research is because, unlike many other liberal arts schools in India or even abroad, at JSLH, we emphasize on research exhaustively, like very, very seriously. We are committed to research, and not just research in the same sense of the word that you may have heard. Big universities, old professors winning Nobel Prizes. No, we're talking about research as a simple matter of critical thinking. And so we have a culture of undergraduate research conference, for example, which I think one of us is going to talk about anyway. We involve students in doing research with us as faculty members. They write with us. They go through a lot of inventory of doctrinal material. They also do research through their fieldwork. In fact, I think at some level, what we want to do is to create a culture where research doesn't appear to be a word which invokes only the imagination of an academic who's drowned in books and coming up about something in the real world. Actually, research is all about real world. In fact, Shanita, because you are here, it just reminds me of the amazing thesis, amazing essay that you wrote in my subject. So Shanita belongs to Tamil Nadu, and she goes to a village in order to do a research for a subject that I teach, which is institutional economics, in which she looks at the institution of cockfights. So there are many villages in India, particularly in the South India, where villagers bring their own cocks from their own stables, and the cockfight is a big affair, like massive affair. I didn't know how big it was until she actually went there, did the field work, spoke to people, sent me pictures, picked up the diaries of people who have made entries, did a mathematical analysis of the costs and benefits. And bingo, I mean, this is an entirely unexplored world that is out there, which amazes not just me, but also among also the other students. But for that, you require a critical thinking and an inquiring mind. You learn how to convince and persuade the other person through your arguments. Persuasion is an art that is going to become more and more important given how the world is moving ahead, as you might as well be realizing, and also something which is kind of missing entirely now from the regular discourse in the dominance of social media. You get academic freedom, to think critically for yourself, not just because somebody is saying. And most important is you assume academic integrity. You train yourself to the highest standards of honesty, because you talk about your data findings through reasoning. You infer something, you just don't say because it's an opinion. And this training, I think, is fundamental to pretty much every course and every engagement that we do at liberal arts. Very quickly, to move on to the Jindal Fellowship Program, which is a one-year postgraduate program. Course, but I believe here in this group are also those who have applied and been admitted to the JFP. But the reason I want to mention about JFP here, despite the fact that majority of you are looking for an undergraduate program, which is BA, is because JFP is also reflective of the ethos of research culture. In fact, the program really came out of our own students' persistence that they wanted a more grounded, a more research intensive program after they do their undergrad of 3 years, to go deeper into a particular subject of their choice. This program allows you to go, of course, go deeper into your subject, but also take up a range of other subjects in various other schools. And that is also allowed in many cases in BA programs also. So this interdisciplinarity. So, you're located in the School of Liberal Arts, but you're taking courses from all kinds of other disciplines, allows your mind to flourish in various directions. And that is how mind should flourish. It's going to take a long time for me to discuss about the fellowship program. I'm happy to take those questions about what the fellowship program specifically will entail. But one particular program on advanced research methods is something that is worth talking. You see, arts or humanities as a subject separated from science, this dichotomy is fast eroding actually. No longer STEM is called as STEM. It's often now called as STEAM. So science, technology, engineering, arts, and management. And mathematics, sorry, not management. Management, I don't know why I said management. Anyway, mathematics, the important thing, mathematics. Anyway, so arts is an integral aspect now. And I think the pandemic has, amongst many things, also shown that the future belongs to people who are able to think through various disciplines, who are able to think critically, not just about their future, but about how the future of the world will look like. And that will not be a very disciplinary question. But interestingly, it also shows how technology is wedded with non-technological subjects. And so courses like advanced research methods will examine some of the recent trends in research, which includes mixed methods in the study of space, place, design, technology, application of digital tools in courses like anthropology and culture studies, integration of qualitative methods and quantitative methods, design thinking approach, and so on and so forth. I'm going to end it here because, of course, you'll hear from others as well and take up questions later. But it is important for me to emphasize that looking at research at an undergraduate level is essentially looking at critical thinking in an interdisciplinary manner. And that is the focus of almost everything that we do at the JSLH. And I think, talking to our own students, they've quite enjoyed that process. But over to you, Maria. Is it Maria or Sucheta after me? Perfect. All right. But thanks a lot. It was good to be here. And of course, I'm around for the questions if there are any later.
Okay. So, hello. So I'm Maria Jelinska Pande, as Professor Jayan introduced me, and I do indeed teach psychology. But today I would like to talk to you more specifically about internships. Beyond psychology, I will also get to interact with you all about internships. As you know, internships are also full parts of the JSLH curriculum, just as research. It's really integrated at a larger level than just seen as a professional experience to enrich your CV. Though, again, that is also an important part because as you all already are projecting and trying to consider your future path, internship is going to be something which is going to be important and useful, whether you choose to go for work or professional opportunities or even for master's applications, because as we know in those as well, experiences and professional experiences are very important and valued. But in JSLH, we see internships as something additional to that. As you know, liberal arts is something which might sometimes appear as very vague and not especially applied. So for us, internships are also a great opportunity for you to explore the applied fields you might be interested in. Let's say, for example, you're interested in political science or economics, and you might want to pursue in that direction. Well, the question could be, do you actually know what people with a political science or economics background do on everyday life in the workplace? What their professional life looks like, what kind of issues they actually get to deal with, how they get to apply the knowledge they gain into real world situations or to give advices. So for us in internships, it's also an occasion to help you explore how different disciplines that you get to interact with at a more, let's say, theoretical or conceptual level, what do they look like once they're applied in the workplace? So if you're interested in political science or economics, you might end up interning in a think tank or a research center. You might also go into a government institution or even an NGO or an activist organization. It does sound quite ambitious. And those internships are really something which is going to be an integral part of your experience in JSLH. And because we really want to make sure that you get best prepared and that fully the learning from that opportunity, we will also, of course, help you through the process. And that's another part which I really want to emphasize is what practically we'll be actually doing to help you get the best from that first internship. And as such, next semester, just as we usually do, so we'll try to keep things as usual, you will have specific workshops with the Office of Career Services, because there's a full office that will also accompany you and with whom we will build more than just your internships, but really kind of a vision of your career and how your different internships will help you to navigate towards the next step that you're planning for yourself. So those workshops will be spread throughout the semester and we'll explore a number of different things. We'll talk both about career path, about opportunities. We'll also talk about workplace realities and employability, soft skills. You'll also have practical experiences. We'll work, for example, on communication in and within professional environment, like writing etiquette, CVs, cover letters, which will be little by little part of your regular functioning, because as you know, internships will happen throughout your 3 years with us. So that's something that will start in the first semester, but that will continue throughout the whole program. And we'll also work on other things, which might seem as quite minimal, but we do believe that pre-professionalization is also a very important thing. There is a different way to present yourself in a professional setting. There's something we could kind of call professional grooming, prepare for interviews, but also prepare your online presence. Because today everybody has a certain way to demonstrate their skills, their capacities. And with such an interdisciplinary and not a job-focused degree, it's very important to be able to really highlight the skills and the abilities that you might have in order to present yourself for the work. So I see that this might appear as something quite big and new. So that's why we really see it as a learning process throughout the first semester until your first internship. And finally, I would say that if some of you might be concerned about how internships will be integrated given the current situation, because that's indeed a real thing. Well, surprisingly, I would be quite less worried about that because as much as we go online, quite surprisingly, a large number of other organizations also go online. And so from today, based on how things have evolved and how our different usual contacts and usual places have modified their requirements, we actually do have as many today online and remote opportunities than we used to have physical or in-presence opportunities. So it's really interesting to see that it's not only education that went online, but actually even companies who before were very reluctant in considering remote internships or some kind of online versions of their internships, today are very much eager to consider any kind of formats. So for those of you who for next winter, though we don't know much about how things are going to be, if you specifically will be looking for online or remote opportunities, I'm sure there won't be any difficulties, no matter the field, which is actually also quite surprising, no matter the field, to find such as well as in person. If for some of you, those are also questions about it, I'll be happy to take that in a second. Thank you. And I pass it on to Sucharita.
Hi, can you hear me? Yes, hi. So I was just thinking what an interesting week it's been for us. We just bid farewell to our graduating batch, and here we are welcoming our new students into JSLH. I just wanted to focus a bit on teaching pedagogy in JSLH, and I know Professor Yugangs just mentioned interdisciplinary studies, which is a key pillar of our program. But we have a very distinctive pedagogy that we follow in JSLH that sort of differentiates us from every other school in the university and also with other liberal arts programs in India. So we have a combination of traditional ways of learning with new and innovative methods of teaching and learning. And our pedagogy is rooted in what is called experiential learning, which is essentially learning by doing. So students are sort of encouraged to participate in traditional methods like, attending classroom lectures, participating and attending undergraduate research seminars, workshops, conferences, and also writing assignments and examinations. But alongside these, we have certain tools and teaching techniques that we use in order to encourage students to think truly critically. And this is essentially to experience research. How do you experience research? By really going out to the fields and using all your senses to see, to touch, to talk, to interact, to engage. And this kind of community engagement is actually a key feature of our program. And what this does is that it hones the student's ability to reflect, and also brings a kind of distinctiveness in the way the student writes assignments or learns or reads. Because in JSLH, we truly believe that every individual student has a distinctive way of processing content, of learning,
and bringing something very unique to the table. Um, and the other thing that I wanted to mention was, and of course, I mean, as far as interdisciplinary studies is concerned, there's no doubt about it that times have really changed, and even a single problem like the pandemic has multiple approaches. It's not just a health issue, but a political issue, an economic crisis, and so on. So there are multiple ways of looking at a problem. But as a school, what kinds of tools are we providing, or what kind of teaching methods do we follow in order to ensure that we end up with a graduating student who is able to equip herself with these kinds of skills in order to, the ability to solve a problem through these multiple ways, and understanding the world through these sort of layered lenses. The thing is that we have a 3-year program for the undergraduate course, and we have a host of foundation courses, and I'm sure you'll get details of the program at some point if you haven't already. But we have a host of foundation courses that the student studies, and in the second year, the student is asked to make a choice of a major from the courses that she has studied. The foundation courses are essentially a combination of traditional humanities and social science subjects like philosophy, literature, history, politics, along with other interesting courses which are interdisciplinary in nature. One course is entitled Interdisciplinary Studies. There's communication skills, there's visual arts, and so on. So it's the combination, it's the very interesting, dynamic and updated combination of these subjects that allows the student to widen her horizon, and also, the scope of intellectual and creative imagination and thought is really widened. Then, just to sort of reiterate something that Professor Yugamp was talking about as far as the element of freedom is concerned, I think it's a key feature, and I've always believed that it's the star feature of our program, which makes us very distinct from everybody else. Is the element of the ability to choose your own major. This is something very different from what I have undergone as an undergraduate student in India, where you had to really decide in school, and parents panicking and so on. But it's very interesting to see how students come to JSLH with an open mind. They go through the entire experience of foundation courses and then make a wise decision about what they want to major in. Of course, we also have students who who fixated on a subject, but they too tend to change their minds once they experience the host of subjects that we have to offer. And I mean, essentially choosing a major is a big life decision for a young adult, or at least it's made out to be when they're with us. And we have so many meetings and counseling sessions to help them, to enable them to make the right choice for them. And of course, there are students who already are able to create a niche area of interest for themselves within the first year. So we have the self-design major that caters to their interest. And I've personally supervised 2 students, political science students, who combined political science with, I teach political science, if I haven't mentioned, but who combined political science with environment studies, and one who combined political science with law. And the last thing that's worth mentioning, as Jayani wanted me to talk about, is faculty members' experience in JSLH. You see, we started the Liberal Arts School in 2014, and I'm one of the founding members, and I can vouch for this. Is when we started with 14 students, and our student strength today is well over 300. And it's an immensely popular course, and all credit goes to our dean, Professor Madrowski, who has ensured that although the batch sizes have been growing exponentially, we've ensured that our class sizes remain small. So we have distinct class sizes with 25 to 30 students in every section. Now, what this ensures is not only a healthy teacher and student ratio, but it also creates a great community spirit. It creates a very strong bond between faculty and students. And it enables JSLH to contribute in a big way to community life on campus. And we must remember that Jindal University is a residential campus. And so students and faculty are encouraged to not only undertake research together through our research centers or independently, but we also socialize with the students as faculty members. We watch movies, and I think I haven't, but my colleagues have also played cricket and football with the students. So it makes community life on campus very, very interesting and exciting, because we really are in the middle of nowhere. And just to sum up, the pedagogy is such, I mean, I could talk about details when we get to the question answer session, because this is a very short slot. But the pedagogies that we use are essentially interdisciplinary learning, experiential learning. We also use rubrics to evaluate not only the progress that the program makes over 3 years, but also individual student progress and the areas where the student can improve. And essentially through these tools, we enable a graduating student to equip herself with all these skills in order to undertake any kind of higher education anywhere in the world, or any other field of her choice, to really cater to her individual, distinctive, cultural, creative, and intellectual interests. So I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sucharita. And we'll come back to the faculty discussion in a bit, but I see that our dear Vice Chancellor, founding Vice Chancellor, Professor C. Rajkumar has joined us. And I would now like to welcome him to say a few words to all of you. Professor Rajkumar, over to you.
Thank you, Jenny. And first of all, I would like to extend a warm welcome to all the new batch of students who are joining the Jindal School of Liberal Arts and Humanities. I'm very delighted to see all the parents as well sitting and, being part of this extraordinary experience of having your children leave homes and joining a new campus experience. So I would like to, first of all, congratulate the students who have been admitted to the Jindal School of Liberal Arts and Humanities. I also want to tell all the students that I can only imagine how much anxious you are. The entire pandemic has hardly left, given you time to relax a bit and enjoy a break after your 12th standard examination, and then to prepare you into a college experience. It's a huge disappointment, no doubt about it. And I can only imagine how much you might have all, felt bad, complained about it. It's a very difficult phase, no doubt about it. But all of us who are watching this, who are here, are somewhat privileged, right? I mean, the sense that there are so many people out there who simply can't even experience anything like this and are struggling as we speak, are hugely vulnerable, not to speak of just the migrant workers, but so many others who are suffering from abject poverty, lack of educational opportunities, too much to even talk about it in a forum like this. So I want to tell all of us that, let's be grateful to our own situation while we can make the best out of what we have. What I want to do is that I want to give you a brief story of our university, and then I would like to take some questions as well. And also, I want to spend more time hearing whatever concerns, questions you have, and no holds bar conversation with all of you parents and students. This university was founded through a philanthropic initiative. I had the privilege to study in two good Indian universities, Loyola College Madras and University of Delhi, after which I got the Rhodes Scholarship to go to Oxford, did my master's in law in Oxford. In 1998, when I was a student at the University of Oxford, I had this dream of wanting to build a university in India. That dream was, shaped by the fact that I was hugely inspired by what I had experienced at Oxford. In fact, I will tell you a bit of a story there. I was part of a college called the University College in Oxford. It was founded in the year 1249. And when I was a student in 1999, we were celebrating our 750th anniversary. And the master of my college, a person named Lord Butler used to be cabinet secretary of the government of UK. So he would always start any of his speeches by saying that we are the oldest college in the English-speaking world. And he will always say that. And once I asked him, he always mentioned about this English-speaking world. Tell me a bit more about it. And then he said, listen, and he reminded me about something which I knew. He said, in your country, there were universities even before. Oxford was 800 years old, Bologna, which is probably 1,000 years old. But we in India had Nalanda, Takshashila, Vallabhi, Vikramshila over 2,000 years ago. There was a historical civilizational contribution that India made to the world in having actually liberal arts educational imagination long before most parts of the world, including the Western world, had anything close to it. And so that kind of made me think about the leadership that the Indian subcontinent had played so long ago. Of course, both the pre-independent India and the post-independent India saw a dramatic evolution of higher education institutions. At the dawn of Indian independence, we had 20 universities, and now we have 1,000, and a lot can be said about all of that. But this kind of urge of wanting to do something in India originated for me as a graduate student at Oxford. Of course, after that, I got 2 more fellowships to go to Harvard. I moved to US, and that was even more transformative. Everything that I experienced at Harvard was phenomenal. The intellectually vibrant environment, the conferences, the lectures, the workshops, the seminars, the emphasis given to research and knowledge creation, publications, and the role of transformation that universities can play, not only with regard to the lives of students, but also the possibility of creating new imaginations for future institution building, becoming almost central to nation building. That was just extraordinary. And I was so convinced. Of course, the more I read about higher education, I was conscious of the evolution of higher education and the modern university system, which grew out of the Humboldtian model of research university in Germany, and then went around the world, and the contemporary American university drawing inspiration from that model. And so the more I read, more I talked, more I met people, I was so convinced about wanting to do something in India. I wasn't sure how to go about it. After I graduated from Harvard, I worked in New York as a corporate lawyer. I just was not, that was not my calling. I quit the firm and joined NYU as a visiting fellow. And that's where the journey began. I pretty much read a lot about the history of higher education in the United States. After which I got a fellowship to teach in Japan. I moved to Tokyo, looked at Japanese universities. I was hugely inspired by the University of Tokyo, the Waseda University, the Keio University, 3 of the leading Japanese universities. As some of you might know, Japan had a very significant influence and impact through the Humboldtian model of research university. Japan and Germany had close relationship. A lot of Japanese scholars would study in the leading German universities, drew a lot of inspiration from there. I was quite impressed by the fact that Asia, Japan had such great universities. Of course, strong emphasis on STEM, science and engineering and technology. That's when I got a job opportunity in Hong Kong, and I moved from Tokyo to Hong Kong. This idea of wanting to create a university became an obsession. And so while I was doing my full-time teaching and research job, I was just spending my late nights and really conspiring actually to create something in India. But most people in Hong Kong didn't know about it, and I was just trying to understand. And Hong Kong was fascinating itself. I mean, Hong Kong had 9 universities, a small city in Asia. 4 of them are top 100 in the world. Rest of the 5 are top 200 in the world. Hong Kong could attract the best minds from around the world. Hong Kong would pay the highest salaries for professors, had the lowest tax base. And it, unlike even Singapore, it was far more liberal and a bit chaotic. And for Indians like me, we like a bit of chaos. So I liked Hong Kong, and I just enjoyed being there, but then trying to understand the evolution of higher education in Hong Kong. Hong Kong invested hugely in higher education. They were all public universities in that sense. That's when I became even more restless about the idea. I traveled around the world, looked at universities in Singapore, South Korea, Taipei, Australia, North America, Canada, Western Europe, and of course coming to India frequently. The more I visited India, I was deeply frustrated and even disappointed with the evolution of Indian higher education. We were mindlessly building universities, both public and private, and each new university that we built in the public or in the private sector was much worse than the previous one. We were expanding our higher education sector. The expansion of higher education sector from public to private did not lead to the creation of the Harvards and the Stanfords and MITs, which are all private, but they led to creating mediocre, for-profit, and even dubious institutions in the higher education system. That led me to basically write a paper entitled Establishing India's First Global University. And that paper laid the foundation for me formulating the vision, but most importantly, trying to engage with a number of people around the world. To cut the story short, as late as 2006, I got to meet with an Indian benefactor by name Mr. Naveen Jindal, and I could easily say the rest is history. I met Mr. Jindal in late 2006 and spent the next year or so engaging with him and even persuading to make him recognize a value that he knew very well about the importance of higher education and how education can be truly transformative. He had the privilege himself to study in the United States, did his master's in the University of Texas in Dallas. He, of course, fought a very important case known as the Union of India versus Naveen Jindal, fought the flag case, because of which all of us have the right to fly the national flag. And he and his wife, Shalu Jindal, established the Flag Foundation of India. And across the country, you will see those large national flags as a recognition of the right to freedom of speech and expression, but also recognition of citizenship and a way to demonstrate that. By late 2007, Mr. Jindal agreed to all of that. I had requested him three things: one, to make a substantial financial contribution; second, to do it in a not-for-profit manner; and third, to let me have the academic freedom, autonomy, and independence to build a world-class university in India. He invited me to move to India from Hong Kong in late 2007, and I moved to India in early 2008, and we began the process of building the university from scratch. From January to April 2008, I was trying to understand India myself as I was returning to India after a decade of living abroad. Very quickly, I realized the challenges of being here and doing things, and which I believe you are all going to be part of. April 2008, we began the process of land acquisition, formulation of curriculum, course structure, program development, faculty recruitment plan, student admissions process, hiring of architects, construction engineers, contractors, and essentially persuading the government to pass a legislation to establish O.P. Jindal Global University as Haryana's first private university. Cut the story short, as late as 27th January 2009, the government of Haryana passed a legislation establishing O.P. Jindal Global University as the first private university, and soon after, we began the process of recruitment of faculty, admission of students, and of course, construction of campus in a very, very feverish manner. As late as September 30th, 2009, we began the first academic session of the first school of the university with the Jindal Global Law School, with only little over 100 students and 20 faculty members. We never looked back since then. In 2010, we started the business school. In 2011, the School of International Affairs. In 2012, the School of Government and Public Policy. In 2016, the Jindal School of Liberal Arts and Humanities. In 2017, the School of Art and Architecture. In 2018, the School of Banking and Finance. In 2019, we started the School of Art, Art and Architecture, and then most recently, the School of Environment and Sustainability, which is beginning this year. I want to say that this journey has been phenomenal. We are 11 years old, and we have there are numerous milestones that have been accomplished in the last 11 years. I will quickly summarize it for you. First is that we became a NAC accredited university. We got the highest A grade in the NAC accreditation process. This is the only accreditation process in India. Government of India's process it is. Of course, we broke into the QS rankings in both in BRICS and Asia rankings. But the year 2019, 2020, which is also our 10th anniversary last year, but this academic year from August onwards, we have been hugely, it's one of those defining moments for the university. This year has been phenomenal. I can't believe I'm actually saying that in the COVID year, but it's true. For JGU, there has never been a better year in the last 11 years. Let me say why. In August 2019, O.P. Jindal Global University was declared as an institution of eminence by the Government of India. As some of you know, the Institute of Eminence is a very, very prestigious and a very coveted process conceived by no less than the Prime Minister of India. The vision was to identify 10 public and 10 private universities and give them the status of an institution of eminence and to propel them to become world-class universities in the years to come. For a while, many, education leaders, including vice chancellors and deans of schools and, ministers and the Prime Minister and the President have been talking about the fact that not a single Indian university is among the top 100 or 200 in the world. The vision of IOE process was to identify 10 public and 10 private universities. As I said before, there are 1,000 universities in India. Through a very elaborate process, they identified 10 public and 8 private universities, and we are one among them. and we are also the only non-STEM and non-medicine university among the Institute of Eminence. On a lighter vein, one of our neighboring universities is not an institution of eminence as well. Secondly, another biggest distinction that we achieved in March 2020 was that our law school was declared the #1 law school in India, and #2 was the National Law School of India, University Bangalore, and there were only 2 universities, law schools in that ranking. They selected 150 in the world and only 2 from India, and we were one among the 101 to 150. Just a few weeks later, in the month of May, during COVID, we ended up being declared the QS World University Rankings was released, and we were again for the second time we broke into the world rankings. But most importantly, this time we were ranked as the #1 private university in India by the QS World University Rankings. There were only 21 Indian universities in that rankings. 18 of them are public and 3 were private. And we were, of course, the youngest and the only non-STEM, non-medicine there. Of course, we also were nominated, and in particular, the Liberal Arts School was recognized as the best liberal arts school in India. We were nominated by the Times Higher Education for innovation in arts education, and we were the first and only liberal arts school from India to be nominated for the Times Higher Education Awards, Asia Times Higher Education Awards as well. And most recently, just a few days ago, we were declared as one of the top 150 universities in the world by the QS World University Rankings, which were ranking only the top 150 in the world, but most importantly, were under 50 years of age. And there were only 4 Indian universities, 3 of them public: IIT Guwahati, IIT Hyderabad, and University of Central University of Hyderabad, and OP Jindal Global University. So in a way, we are in a sweet spot. I want to say that this has been possible because of the extraordinary contribution of our faculty members, students, and staff. There are 5 things that shaped our vision from our founding moment and to now. First, we are a global university. For us to be a global university means to have a global curriculum, a global course structure, a global faculty, a global research agenda, all of which promoting global interaction. It means for us to be able to build substantive partnerships with universities around the world. We have over 255 partner universities spread across 55 different countries in the world, in which we have implemented 10 different forms of partnerships. These include faculty exchange, student exchange, joint teaching, joint research, joint conferences, joint publications, dual degree programs, short-term study abroad programs, inward mobility immersion programs, and joint executive education programs. The students of the Jindal School of Liberal Arts and Humanities are hugely benefited by these international collaborations, which have provided opportunities for them to spend periods of time abroad, and connecting that to dual degree programs, pathways, study abroad programs, and a number of other immersion opportunities. It also means for us to be able to recruit faculty members from around the world. Nearly 15% of our full-time faculty members are non-Indian nationals recruited from over 32 countries and regions in the world. These are people who are not visiting, but are full-time faculty members residing in Sonipat and being part of our entire campus experience. The second part of our university is our strong commitment to public service. Public service is deeply embedded in everything that we do, from the access to education that we provide through our scholarships and fellowships, to the various initiatives that our various schools provide, including our programs in the form of experiential learning, social innovation, entrepreneurship, social service, clinical programs. Everything that each of our schools do, including the Jindal School of Liberal Arts and Humanities, are connected to the possibility to make a difference. Liberal arts education is about changing the world and making the world a better place, and we do that at the School of Liberal Arts and Humanities and other schools. The third aspect of our university is a strong commitment to research. We believe that universities are fundamentally engaged in the process of creating knowledge that can actually impact life and society. That creation of knowledge through publications and research and writings of our faculty members play a very valuable role. But then we didn't stop at that. We have our students, including the students of Jindal School of Liberal Arts and Humanities, who are engaged in research colloquiums and are working closely with our faculty members and contributing to that research that our faculty members are leading. An entire research ecosystem has been created for our faculty members to research grants, research publications, research centers, research professorships, as well as research rewards, all of which have created a research-enabled environment for our faculty, which the students make immense use of it. The fourth aspect of our university is our strong commitment to creating an intellectually vibrant environment through conferences, lectures, workshops, and seminars. And the fifth is what we do towards executive education. I also want to say that I'm very happy to see so many young students who are joining the liberal arts school. I mean, this shows that there is so much of transformation that has happened in India. I belong to the three idiots generation, in which the choices of study, choices of education were so much defined by a generation of people who were pretty much, forced to enter into medicine or engineering education. I strongly believe that this has led to different types of deterioration of academics and standards in our own country. In fact, one of the remarkable things about the liberal arts education is that it has challenged the paradigm of meaningful employment being the only goal of higher education, and it will be a huge mistake for us to consider this as the only outcome of any educational experience. One of the things that liberal arts education does is that it promotes intellectual curiosity, which is critical for the growth and development of any individual in society. At a time when there is so much of uncertainty about the future, I strongly believe that liberal arts education is going to redefine the future of humanity in numerous ways than we can predict now. In fact, the need for acquiring knowledge in a range of subjects, including philosophy, history, literature, sociology, anthropology, psychology, while pursuing interest in music and theater and performing arts and fine arts, is the hallmark of a true and engaging liberal education. It helps people like you, young people like you, to come to terms with the past, the present, and the future, and develop an understanding of the future. It prepares you for an uncertain world in which you will provide leadership. I strongly believe that the young people of India and the world are going to shape the future in ways that the previous generations couldn't and didn't. And I say this with a full sense of responsibility. A country with 850 million people who are less than 35 years of age, young people like you, not the people who are speaking today, not even your parents, but you, the students who are going to join the Jindal School of Liberal Arts and Humanities, you are going to shape the future of the world and indeed future of India. In fact, when the entire Western world will become older, most parts of Eastern world, including China and Japan, and many parts of Southeast Asia will become older, India will be younger and will be younger for a longer time. That youth, all of you, you will not only shape the future of India, but will be shaping the future of the world. That means the goal of our education should be to achieve enlightened global citizenship. So one of the remarkable, visions of the Jindal School of Liberal Arts and Humanities is to help in developing a civilizational understanding of India as a rich and long tradition of promoting civilizational understanding through education. In fact, I mentioned to you about Takshashila institutions. I mean, can you believe that Takshashila institution over 2,700 years ago had 10,000 students and faculty from around the world studying diversified subjects as Vedas and philosophy and grammar and politics and astronomy and future and music and agriculture and commerce. Such was the tradition of liberal arts education that prevailed in our own subcontinent. And we did provide leadership to the world at large, but the kind of leadership that can also infuse and help you imbibe qualities of humility, qualities of gratefulness, qualities of a deeper sense of appreciation of the other, qualities of recognizing pluralism and appreciating diversity and respecting views of the other, including the views that you fundamentally disagree with. That is what liberal education does. And I'm very happy that you are going to be part of this experience. I can go on and on, but I want to stop here and say that this experience of having all of you to be part of the Jindal School of Liberal Arts and Humanities is going to be transformative, not only for you, but all of us as well. We have a fantastic dean in Kathleen Modrowski, who had done so many things around the world, from Africa to Europe to North America and many parts of the world. And she became the founding dean of the Jindal School of Liberal Arts and Humanities, moving from her then comfortable zone in New York, because now New York is not so comfortable, but the then comfortable zone of New York to Sonipat, and to really appreciate India and its complexity, its diversity, its plurality, and its governance, and to provide leadership and inspiration to the school. A host of faculty members who spoke today and who will be meeting all of you sooner than later, all of them have been working with passion and dedication and indeed commitment that is reflected in what they do, because they are not doing a job. It is their calling. In fact, there is a fundamental distinction between pursuing a job and pursuing a calling in life. And that is what liberal arts education will give you, to make a distinction between seeking employment and pursuing dreams and aspirations, and indeed a pursuit of calling in life. So congratulations to you. And most importantly, congratulations and thank you to your parents, because they have led you to fulfill this dream. They have, and I dare say, saved you from becoming an engineer and helped you fulfill the dreams of pursuing a liberal education. Speaking about doctors and engineers, let me make an important confession, which my faculty know. Many years ago, by the way, I come from a family of doctors and engineers. I have 20 plus cousins, and all of them are doctors and engineers. I come from a place called Kanyakumari, the southernmost tip of India, studied in Kanyakumari, grew up in Chennai, studied in Chennai as well. And many years ago, one fine morning, when publicly it was known that I'm going to study law, a lot of my relatives turned up to our middle class home completely unannounced. And me and my brother were closeted and in a room, and many relatives were talking to my parents. And the question was something like, what happened to Raj? He was a good student. And a good student obviously shouldn't be going for law. And then, as somebody else said, he wasn't good enough to become a doctor, but we were hoping that he will become an engineer. And then the third person said, doctors and engineers, you need to be very bright and smart and intelligent and hardworking. He was not cut for either of that. But we were hoping he might become a chartered accountant. And then they said, well, why law? And then my aunt said, to my parents, these are very difficult times for you as parents. We are with you in this difficult moment, sharing grief. And that was 25 years ago, and world has changed. India has changed a lot. And I do believe that today, young people like you are very fortunate. And of course, my parents believed in my, goals and aspirations. So I told this, and by the way, many years later, when the Hindu newspaper published an article about me getting the Rhodes Scholarship, some of my relatives called up my parents and said, he couldn't become a doctor, but at least he got something in life. So that was Chennai and India. I told the story to my friends in the United States and Indian American friends. And my friend told something quite amazing, and I want to share that with you, and then I'll end. So I told this to my friend, and he said, Raj, the Indian American situation in the United States is not very different. So he said, in the future, there will be an Indian American president. Of course, as you know, if you're born in the United States, then you also are eligible to become president. So this is he imagines a situation where parents are from India, but they moved to the United States. This person was born in the US, grows up, and finally is going to become the president. And the scene is that the president-elect is about to be administered the oath of office. And the Chief Justice of the US Supreme Court is about to do it. The mother of this man who is about to become the president is standing next to the Chief Justice. And the Chief Justice is, about to administer the oath of office. The mother and the president-elect is right there. And the mother is nudging the Chief Justice and says, You know, his brother is a doctor. So I want to say that and stop it. It doesn't really matter. Of course, if you look at the, even today in numbers, if you look at, aspirations for becoming doctors and engineers in India, it's far too much anyways. So congratulations to parents and students for joining the Jindal School of Liberal Arts and Humanities. And I can't wait to see all of you. Before we begin the Q&A session, I want to straight away tell one big question all of you have, and that is that we are committed to beginning the new academic session on 3rd August 2020. Our plans and our preparations are in line to begin the new academic session on 3rd August 2020. Now, of course, in India, we are not alone in taking these decisions. There are numerous regulatory aspects, including what the government of India will decide, the Ministry of Human Resource Development, the University Grants Commission, the government of Haryana, and so many other factors. But from our standpoint, our plans, our preparations, our abilities, all of that is to pretty much open the campus on 3rd August 2020 and to have all of you be part of that experience. However, we remain very closely connected to what is happening in the country, what is happening around the world, what the regulatory bodies may decide, and we will be continuously be in touch with you and will keep you informed in all of these matters about any possible changes. But our thinking, our aspiration, our preparedness, our planning, our abilities, we've done lots of things, and I'm happy to talk to you more about starting the campus. Of course, we have not just been obstinate about whatever we want to do. We are preparing all kinds of scenarios. We have upgraded our healthcare centers. We have created, better frameworks to deal with possible scenarios. We have also, prepared into an online mode of education as well. So all kinds of planning and preparation has happened. I don't know whether you are aware, but the last semester when we moved into online education, we seamlessly moved into online education within weeks. 400 plus courses plus 8,500 plus classroom hour scenarios went online for the benefit of 5,000 plus students, in which 500 plus faculty members did that. We have been given a very prestigious e-lead certification, which is basically learning excellence, e-learning excellence for academic digitization by the QS IGOG, which also is an IT audit to measure the preparedness of a university to offer online education as well. So we are not leaving any stone unturned to be able to have a campus experience and to be able to provide a world-class education as we've always done. I want to stop here and take questions.
Thank you very much, Professor C. Rajkumar, for that broad sweep of JGU's history, and also to highlight JSLH's strengths. We are indeed very proud and delighted to have received the Innovation in the Arts Awards. And I hope that later in the session today, we will hear a bit more from Professor Anzi and the students to know more about how we incorporate that in our courses and program. But we'll have a Q&A session with the Vice Chancellor at this moment. So if you have any questions, please do ask. If you there's a raise hand icon, I think on Zoom. If you raise it, I'll go to you. Or you can just unmute and start talking as well. Yes, Ms. Biswas.
Good afternoon. My daughter Raya is also there on one of those screens. She has her video off. I'm just a little concerned. Are you going to be actually taking the children to campus by the 3rd of August? I mean, is it going to be safe right now? Because I heard Professor Rajkumar speaking on NDTV quite some time back, and he said that we are not looking at children coming into campus this early. We are probably only going to bring them in sometime early next year. I was listening to him on NDTV. Are you actually planning to take the children onto campus this soon?
Thank you very much for your question. I know for sure I didn't say exactly that, but I will send you the video of what I said. But what I said was that, you see, what has happened is that the University Grants Commission set up 2 different committees with regard to trying to understand how higher education institutions should respond. And one of the things that the entire higher education sector, not just us, the 1,000 universities, the 40,000 colleges, what to speak about the schools, are all thinking about what should be the next step. Clearly, if you look at the government's own thinking, as you can all see, there is a very strong impetus to develop different forms of opening up. And we have seen in all the cities that we are all living in. At the same time, we are also conscious of the balancing act that we need to do. So from our standpoint, let me tell you what all we are doing. First of all, we will not do anything that we believe will cause any form of detrimental impact to the safety and the well-being of our students. So that's the first principle. Safety, well-being is the most important factor in all of this. So there's no question of compromising on that. And that's one. Second is that we will have to follow all the rules and regulations of all government agencies. So for example, right now our campus is closed because the government expects us to be closed. So we will follow that as well. The third is that we have been very closely following the WHO guidelines, the ICMR guidelines, other social distancing norms, and how to ensure that we have a safe and emphasizing preparedness of different kinds. Fourth is that the campus infrastructure itself is, as we speak, in fact, the health center has been upgraded quite significantly. In fact, our existing students would not even be able to recognize about how the health center has transformed. And I'm going to request Ankur and Nishi to share the new brochure of the JGU Health Center to all the new students and the parents for their information.
Sure, sir.
The fifth is, I think it's a very important point, and this is where we will be very carefully calibrating. If our plans to open the campus and start the new academic session need to be implemented, what are all the various measures that we need to put in place in relation to classroom scheduling, teaching allocation, preparedness of the classes, sanitization, social distancing norms, a whole range of things. For example, this is actually what I just told you is something which is under very active preparation as we speak. But one of the reasons why I cannot give you a confirmed answer is that we cannot and we will not be able to decide this on our own. We are very conscious of what the larger thinking is. There are all kinds of stories emerging. In fact, I will share with you, since you asked this question, just 48 hours ago, the first major Indian institution to announce that it will go online happens to be the IIT Mumbai. IIT Mumbai has just announced 48 hours ago that the next academic year they will do online. There are institutions in India which have announced that they will go physical. Some of them have said they will figure out and they're waiting. So there's going to be a lot of uncertainty for a few more weeks. And I want you to bear with not just us, the entire system, but we hope to get clarity on the matter, keeping in mind these factors. So for example, if we think that it is not possible to fulfill this objective, this aspiration that I've just outlined in the way we can, which is to keep in mind safety and well-being and regulations and laws and all of that, of course we will change our decision. And this is not, there is no we don't need to be in ostrich mode in this matter. We are prepared to reconsider that. So, but one of the things that we are conscious of is that, and that's a very important point which you should all remember as parents. Starting the semester is important for us. Physical or online has other factors in it because of, as all the things you mentioned. But we also don't want, like, for example, some of them have announced, and I'm being very candid here, and I know that I'm making this public. Like some institutions have announced they're going to start classes in October and November, and we are not in favor of it. I mean, that's like saying, you know what, we'll wait and watch, and if COVID becomes better, we will do. I mean, that actually impacts the entire academic year in a very significant manner. So we would like to start the campus physically. That's our plan. Our dates are this. But we want starting the campus, starting the academic session is more important than starting it physically. So we are having all options, open. I mean, I couldn't have been more candid with you.
Okay. We have
Thank you so much, Professor.
Sorry, Kakoli, please.
Yeah, I just said thank you so much for the clarification. Thank you.
Sure.
So first up is Mr. Varun Isarani. Do you want to go first? Do you want to go now?
Yeah.
Yes.
So I was just wondering if you could recommend some books or some reading materials to get a better understanding of the first year subjects.
Oh, excellent question. I'm going to request our Vice Dean, Professor Jaini Banerjee. In fact, one of the things that we are doing this year in particular is that because there are students who are have been pretty much at home for so long, this is something which we should do. So Jaini, I would suggest that first year reading materials in the form of books and online materials, preferably online materials, or Kindle downloadable books and things like that. You can make a recommendation, I think parents and students will much appreciate it. So I'm going to request that, this is your daughter, Shreya?
Yes, Shreya has the next question. Varun, if that answers your question, yes, we'll definitely share material. And as Dean Midrowski mentioned at the beginning of this session today, we've also planned a series of, activities, online activities.
So there are lots of people who are raising their hand, Jaini, so we can go around.
So go on. So the next one up is Shreya. And then we have Mr. Ashok Sharma and Abhijit Saha.
Excellent, excellent.
Actually, this is a question from Shreya's dad.
Can you speak a little louder, please?
This is actually a question from Shreya's dad.
Okay.
Shreya, I'm sure, is among the gang of students who wants to get out of the house, get into college physically, excited. But from a parental perspective, one of the things that we have been looking forward to is actually visiting the university.
I know.
Visiting the facilities, meeting the professors, and so on and so forth. I'm sure as you're planning the logistics of return to campus, you will factor that in as well.
Yes, absolutely. In fact, we are actually waiting when we can even do that. I mean, honestly, right now, there are certain rules and regulations for which prohibits, for us to quote unquote open the campus. But I am keen on at least creating some avenue whereby we can have some dates of campus visit in a very selected manner with some numbers of people being allowed to. So Ankur, remind me to figure out this particular question. Well, two things. One is we should get you some videos of the campus so that you get a more closer campus experience. And of course, having conversation with the faculty members, our liberal arts faculty members are very, very accessible. And if you really want to do that, you should do that. So in some ways, I'll say whatever you can do online, you should do it. But I agree with you that, JGU campus is just extraordinary. I mean, our I wish there were universities like this when I went to college. So yeah, so that you have to see it to believe it and to be part of it. So I think I take your point and we will figure out something. By the way, where do you live?
Chennai.
Yeah, so that's another big thing, right? So that means there are, so mostly parents who do that when they are, you know, when the student is joining the campus, and those who are in the NCR have an advantage. They can make, you know, maybe another visit. And of course, now coming from Chennai, it's not so much about we opening the campus. There are so many risks even today in flying and flights, and you know, it's a tough phase. I mean, you know, just now I heard that the government of India has announced that from you know, international flights will be stopped for 2 weeks from 1st July to 15th July. So it's a lot of flip-flop is happening, a lot of uncertainty is. So Shreya, be prepared for a bumpy ride, and ultimately it'll be fine.
Thank you.
Okay. The next question is from Ashok Sharma.
Please.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Sharma.
My question regarding the scholarship, that if my son is keen to join OP Jindal JSLH, but if because of the financial reasons, we are not able to afford this type of say fee structure. So if we would like to apply for a scholarship now, can we get the answer quickly whether we are eligible or not, or my son can get that scholarship or not? Because that will help us to take a final decision.
I thank you very much, Mr. Sharma. I don't know what you mean by quickly, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to request our admissions staff members, Ankur and Nishi, to give you a timeline. Even if we cannot tell you now, I'm definitely going to tell them to tell you about the date when we can give you a firm answer on the award of the scholarship. Ankur and Nishi, we can talk about it, but I think it's important for parents to know what kind of scholarships that their children can be eligible, are they in a situation to receive, and things like that. Thank you, Mr. Sharma, for that question.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
The next question is from Mr. Abhijit Saha.
Please.
Hi. Hello.
Yes.
Sir, my question to you is that we stay in Dubai.
Where are you? I don't get. Where are you located?
You want to see me, really?
Yes, of course.
Okay. Here I am.
Yes, please.
Hi. We live in Dubai.
Okay.
Now the international flights are still not starting. Up to 15th, the government has put a moratorium on that. So how do you think will it be possible for somebody to join a campus on 3rd?
Absolutely, Mr. Saha. So 2-3 very important things. Just as I told to Ms. Kakoli Biswas that we will be able to, the safety and well-being considerations are important for us. It is equally important that any student who joins us is their academic journey is also not interrupted in any way. So I am giving you one scenario, for example. Let's say if we start the campus, we then will, so one of the things we are doing is, as we speak, we are planning to install cameras in all our classrooms. We never had it before. We did online teaching, but that we can do through Zoom like this. But now we are also installing physically cameras in all our classrooms. So we are also thinking of eventualities where there may be students from different parts of India and the world who may not be able to attend classes at that time for the first few weeks or whatever. So we are also doing that. If we end up having online education, for example, that's then not a problem. You are there. If you ever end up online education and you are not having access, you're using MS Teams, the lectures are recorded, so you can go back. So we are doing our best so that no student who joins JGU, his or her academic journey is not affected, interrupted in any manner, and we can provide a safe and maintain their well-being as well. I hope that answers your question, Mrs. Saab.
Yeah, that's true.
What is your daughter's name?
Sneha.
Well, pleasure meeting you, Sneha.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
The next question is from Priya Shivapura. Priya, are you there?
Yeah, this is Srinidhi. Yeah, and Priya's my wife. And our daughter, Meghna, has been, she has been given a provisional acceptance letter.
Where are you? I'm not able to see you.
Oh, you're not able to see? Hang on, just a minute. Oh, start video. Yeah, there it is.
Okay, good.
Yeah, there. Okay, yeah. So she has been given a provisional acceptance letter pending her 12th grade results.
Yeah.
Now, her 12th exams hasn't even happened yet. So she's going to be writing her 12th through the NIOS board. And the practicals were supposed to be in July, first week of July, but that has been postponed now. And her the regular exams were supposed to be from the 20th of July to the 30th of July. Now, if you're going to be starting the academic year from the 1st of August, what's going to happen?
I'll keep it very simple for you. Okay. So this is the good news. You see, we predicted the scenario. I mean, 3 months ago, we knew this is all going to pan out in this manner. So we have already prepared ourselves. Let me tell you what we've done. First of all, the offer letter that you received is not a provisional offer letter. It is an offer of admission with some conditions attached to it. So if it is provisional, I'm going to ask them to send the proper offer of letter. You should not have received provisional offer. We don't have anything called provisional offer. The offer is a full-fledged offer of admission. It has in it certain conditions attached to it. One of the conditions is that successful completion of the 12th standard examination and all of that. Now, from our standpoint, we are going to give the students the longest possible rope in this, which is if CBSE board comes up with the results in October, in November, no problem. They will remain as students, become full-fledged students of JGU, can take classes, do everything that any other student gets. However, I'm not talking about your situation. If any student, for whatever reason, is not able to provide that certificate when it is made available, unfortunately fails or something happens, that admission offer will be rescinded. But so long as you are able to provide that transcript at whatever time the government gives, we will accept it. And for the entire academic journey that will begin, it will have no impact whatsoever. Does that answer your question?
It does. It does. Thank you.
Right.
Yeah, it does.
Okay. The next question is from Adyasha Sen.
Good afternoon. I wanted to know a bit more about the self-design major.
Where are you? Ah, yes. Okay, good.
Good afternoon, sir. Yeah, I wanted to know a bit more about the self-design major. Is it like a double major program where I can major from another college as well? And over the course of my education, do I get to study subjects from other colleges too, except the liberal arts school?
Well, thank you, Adyasha. I'm going to request Janie to answer that question.
Yes. So a self-designed major is not a double major. So we call it a self-designed major for a very specific reason. So a double major, let's say between economics and psychology, would mean that you are interested in economics and psychology separately and you just want to combine the two. A self-designed major has a slightly more nuanced meaning to it. And let's say you are interested in the field of behavioral economics. And that's why you are looking to combine psychology and economics. So when we offer self-designed majors, we see how a student is able to synthesize the two disciplines and think about connections between those two. Having said that, our course structure is such that if you have a parallel area of interest, so let's say you're doing psychology and economics, but you are also interested in art. So you have the option of taking a minimum of 6 courses, 6 electives, as we call it, in that particular field. Those 6 courses are completely your choice. So you can take it in any area that you want to. And these can be from any school within JGU, as long as those courses are cross-listed. So you can take courses from the law school, you can take courses from the business school, from the architecture school, from the School of Journalism. And this is one of the key, aspects of a JGU education. It's, it opens up the possibility of taking courses from all these different schools.
All right. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. I'm going to take some more questions before I need to leave in 15 minutes. So
there are 2 more questions. The first one is actually 3 questions. First one is from Tanisha Lamichane, and then there's Niharika, and there is one from iPad 2. So Tanisha, would you like to go ahead first?
Hi, good afternoon. We are from Nepal, Kathmandu. Nice to see all of you. I mean, I was really looking forward to this meeting today, and we are here together, my daughter and myself, Tanisha. So actually, the restrictions on international flights, I mean, we would hope that that would open up very soon, and we are really, really looking forward to be on campus. And for Nepal, we have a privilege of being very close to India, and as the university opens, we would, if not, even if it's not the flights, we can come by even by road. I mean, it's not an issue for us. But we are hoping that the university will provide us some documentations for our road travel and things like that. And I mean, from as a parent, I think, and I really, really appreciate the way you've mentioned about the safety of students and what measures you've put in place already to ensure that kids are safe in your campus, even if it opens in the middle of such a situation. And my daughter is really looking forward to joining the university. I mean, this is the first time she'll be going out of home to study somewhere else. So we are really, really looking forward to that.
thank you, Tanisha. And what is your daughter's name?
Tanisha.
Tanisha.
I'm Tanisha.
My name is.
Okay, yours is.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Well, Tanisha, thank you for your question. Well, Tanisha's mother, thank you for your question. So of course, documentation will be provided and all the support will be extended. My admission staff will be in touch with you, and that's not a problem. So I want to share something with you, and of course to all the parents as well. This time around, when we transitioned from this whole sort of physical campus into online, when the lockdown was announced, I promoted a concept called, which I have not patented, but I promoted a concept called FIFA. The football thing, FIFA. So for me, that FIFA is freedom, innovation, flexibility, and adaptability. That's what I told my faculty. This time around, we need to have this FIFA principle. The reason principle is important is that so many things that all of us in academic institutions were wedded to have been challenged now. We are all so obsessed with, grades and examination and assessment, and it has to be only this many credits and it has to be this one. And the more prestigious institutions we are, the standards of rigorousness, even persuading a faculty to give away 2 marks to a student would be a nightmare, for example. So everything was challenged. And IITs decided to, abandon a semester, pass everybody, all kinds of, weird things have happened in the last 4 months around the world. So in a way, I want to say this to make all of you understand that we're going to go through this phase. Many plans will get changed. We have to keep on planning and preparing and replanning and re-preparing. Planning and changing, adaptability, is so critical. So when I say what I just said to you, this is the goal, but we will not be ostrich. We will be constantly assessing the situation, but the fundamental principles will be important, which is if we decide to open up, this will be the principles on the basis of which we'll open up. If we decide to go online, this will be the basis that nobody should be deprived of an opportunity to learn, and your educational experience should be meaningful and all of that. And of course, the third principle from our standpoint is we will communicate to you in very clear and in no uncertain terms. So remain in touch, and I can only hope that we will receive greater clarity. American universities, for example, can unilaterally decide so many different things. Nobody can stop. We have partnership with several universities, and Harvard decides it has gone online. University of Arizona is designing it's opening up, and they don't need to wait for what President Trump or the governor says. We have more complexities, and for good reasons as well. So I want you to know we are in it, and we'll get back to you with more details as and when we have.
Okay, we have one question from Niharika.
Yes, Niharika, please.
You want to ask?
Good evening, sir. I am Niharika, Father Srinivas.
Yes, please, Mr. Srinivas. Yeah.
Sir, I have the two questions. One is regarding the financial aid. Yes, last few minutes back you already explained, but this financial aid is finalized before the finalization of admission or not? And the second thing is the financial aid is based on the financial status of the parents, or based on the admission procedure, performance of the admission procedure. The second question is,
okay, I'll let me answer that question quickly.
Okay.
First of all, the admission process is not going to determine whether you can pay for it or not. So admissions is based upon merit and whatever transparent procedure and process that a student would have gone through. After that admission, only an award of scholarship comes in. And I will work with the admissions office to ensure that sooner than later, you are duly informed about whether, and if yes, how much of scholarship or financial aid a student is getting. The second related question is, our scholarship and financial aid framework is merit cum means based. It will have a direct bearing on the parental income. And we are very clear about it because we want to support the students who simply can't afford. At the same time, I've had some very interesting conversations from our students in the past that there are amazing students whose parents happen to be very rich. So the students have asked us that, listen, I should get the scholarship because you know what, my parents are rich, but I'm not, and I earned it. So like a good lawyer, I have carved out a solution for all of them. We will give you a certificate that you got the scholarship. You can put it in your CV as a good bullet point, and we will congratulate you and publicly honor you, but we won't give you the money. That is the solution we have come up with it. On a serious note, the idea was to give scholarships to people who simply cannot come and cannot afford to study at London. And that was the vision. A time will come when the students here will become alumni, rich alumni, and will endow their scholarships in their names and their parents' names, and we might be able to, afford more. But right now, it's focused on merit cum means scholarship. I hope that answers your question. And you have a second question, please.
Yes, sir. Regarding that, I am from Hyderabad, sir. The longer way I'm sending my daughter, if it is finalized. As a typical India, I have also middle class father. I have also the security measures. What are the security measures in the campus outing going? Moreover, lastly but not least, the children are in the teen also. The security measures, outgoings, that measures I want to know.
Yeah. So let's keep there are two. There are two types of security measures we're talking about. One, I already told you about the COVID-19 type security measures. That I've already told you. But I think you are talking about the more general safety and security of a student. So let me say this. Our campus is located on a nearly 100-acre fully residential campus. We have, all kinds of usual good security measures, including, CCTV cameras and guards and all of that, periphery protection, things like that. The campus is a safe environment. But one of the most remarkable policies that I think we have done, which most of our parents love it and most of our students hate it, which is that no student can leave the campus without the prior permission of the parents. So whenever I tell this, I go around the country and have these interactive sessions with the parents. And when I say this, parents give me a standing ovation for this. And obviously, students hate it. But again, on a serious note, we had to put these measures simply because we are not in a city environment. And in any case, there is, we want to ensure that, in fact, our students are so smart, they have argued with me endlessly about, okay, so you're not really protecting us. You just want to transfer the blame to my parents. Part of it is actually, not inaccurate. I mean, there is a certain degree of responsibility that we are taking when you're on campus. We can't, stop you from leaving if your parents let you do so. So we would like you to be safe and we'd like you to be responsible even when you go outside. But there are local guardians and also we respect the fact that there are gradations of freedom that parents have given to different students. So we don't want to second guess that as well. So there are university rules and regulations about it. But beyond that, if parents have given opportunity for the children to go out, we do that as well. Again, there are lots of other rules and regulations about it. I'm happy to talk to you. We maintain a campus where we disapprove of any disciplinary situations, including smoking and drinking and drug abuse and things like that. When these things when they happen, we take action against students. We take disciplinary action against students. We are conscious of the fact that these are young adults and we need to make them grow up as responsible individuals. There is a transition from school to college. And in some ways, this is a partnership. So Niharika's father, what I can tell you is, you can't, this is something which we need to do this together. Parents sometimes think, many of them think that we need to be their parents, and we can't, and we shouldn't, and we won't be. But what we can definitely do is to exercise a very important responsibility as somewhat of a guardian and also a mentor, but also to be able to have the rules and regulations in place and to have consequences if students are found to be contravening those rules and regulations. But I will say this, if a determined student is out there to break all rules and regulations and laws in place and is going to do things that they shouldn't be doing, I'm afraid, no, we cannot do anything about it. And that's where this is a joint project. This project that we are going to embark is as much a project that you need to be part of as much as we will be part of.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
There's one more question. Sir and ma'am, I don't know your name. It shows up as iPad 2.
Yeah.
Would you guess?
Good evening, everybody. My name is Anand, and this is Mini. And our son Sharad has got admitted. So we heard you, and we got a fair sense of the kind of pedagogy and the kind of system that the school is adopting. Now, both of us are, let's say, people who have experienced the traditional methods of education, and a fair number of our children have also probably experienced a traditional style so far from different schools that they may be currently, having spent time in. So I just wanted to get a sense of you started this, you said, in the liberal arts school from 2014. So what's been the experience? What have you seen children finding okay or struggling with? Somebody would have graduated by at the end of whatever 2018 and so on. So what's the kind of things that they were up against? How easy or difficult for students has it been to decide at the end of 1 year to take the decision of selecting a major? What's gone into that? Some idea of what to expect.
That's a great question. I'm going to have a more detailed answer to be given by my colleague, but what I would want to say is that a couple of things, which is, first of all, the notion of interdisciplinarity is deeply embedded in our institutional vision as a university, but even more strongly embedded within the liberal arts education. So the curriculum, the courses, the electives, all of that, the students' experience is part of that. And I must say that it has been a very smooth, sort of evolution for us, because liberal arts school was not unique from the standpoint of what the university was doing from day one. These things were there, and liberal arts school became a very logical corollary to what we were doing. Secondly, one of the things that liberal arts school in particular has done, which I think is important to mention, is that the strong emphasis on experiential learning. In some ways, many schools aspire to provide experiential learning, but there are only fewer schools which make it as a part of their DNA and indeed their curriculum and the process of mentoring. That's something which the liberal arts school does it, and the fact that we are in Sonipat and there are opportunities to engage in the community is something which I think they have been benefited. The third thing, which I think is very important, is that students are also experiencing a wider ecosystem within the university on possibly not only in their hostels, but also in the other environments. They are meeting students from law and business and public policy and journalism and architecture and banking. And so that possibility to meet with students from other disciplines provides a unique form of a churning opportunity where they get to discuss issues. They're constantly influenced by their peer group. They're engaged with each other, talking about each other. The fourth thing is that it was absolutely important for us to have an intellectually vibrant environment that goes beyond the classroom experience. That means constantly having lectures and workshops and seminars and conferences where students are participating in it and also sometimes involved in organizing it. The fifth is that the research centers that the schools have, the students get to also work with, mentored by the faculty. I think all these 5 elements that I just told you provide a phenomenal experience. And I think our students are, you should see some graduation videos of our students talking about their experiences. In fact, it's very inspiring, very compelling. It gives us, on a given day, managing 5,100 students, managing their tantrums and all of that could be a very frustrating exercise on many days. But when you hear them towards the end, it just makes all of it so worth it. It's just extraordinary. They feel inspired and transformed, and that is why we are in this. But I'm going to let Janie answer more on that. I'll take a couple of questions as I need to rush into another meeting.
Yes. We have just 2 more questions, and we'll come back, sir, to your. We have some students on board, so they can also
have them say they can answer this question better than me.
Yeah. So we have 2 questions from Vimal Isarani and Kakoli Biswas. So do you want to ask your questions, and then perhaps Please. Professor Rajkumar could take it together?
Sure, I can go first. My name is Vimal.
Yes.
I'm father of Varun. The question I had, sir, is about university's philosophy on political activism. What level of political activity do you allow in campus, and how do you restrict that? Some insight would be really helpful.
Thank you, Mr. Vimal. Very, very difficult one, but I'm going to answer it. Next question.
Professor, I have a very basic question to ask as a parent. How much do we have to pay in the first year?
Kakoli, that's a very easy question. I would request Ankur to, it's all very transparent. It's all, everybody does the same thing. It's all printed out there. So let, there are no hidden fees and stuff like that. So I'm going to ask Ankur to send you the details of it, send to all of you how much you're supposed to pay.
I think it's already there in the offer letter, which has been sent to the
but send
student.
it, maybe you can explain a little more.
Yeah.
Any other question? Let me go to the most difficult question. If that is all.
There is one more question.
Shreya's father has a question.
Okay, and from Ritesh Vijay Kumar.
Jenny, you may have to do another open house with me.
Yes, I can see that.
Thank you.
Hello, sir. I'm sorry.
All right. Okay, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Bratesh. I'm from Chennai. My question is, how is Jindal supportive of sports?
Oh, great question. That's not a difficult one. We'll answer that. Okay.
Yeah.
And do you want to take the question from Shreya's father?
Yes, please.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And this is just a logistics question. Shreya is from the IGCSE Cambridge board, and she has already submitted her 12th results to JSLH. There is something called an equivalence certificate that we see a possibility of getting. Do you need that for the process or not?
I don't think we need it at all. I mean, Ankur, correct me if I'm wrong. Do we need it?
No, we don't need it.
We don't need it.
Thank you.
Freedom, innovation, flexibility, and adaptability. All right. Listen, Ritesh, your question about sports, we have a very vibrant sports culture. I mean, it's just absolutely amazing. Of course, one of the tragedies of, a lot of young people today is that, technology has just made people to be just stuck with, equipments like this. So those who want to make the best use of it, absolutely fantastic facilities. There is, football and cricket and tennis, and there's floodlit courts and all kinds of leagues, and there is a whole, internal ecosystem for those who want to play active sports. In fact, we have amazing staff. I mean, the luxury that I never had anywhere. You have all these people training, and there are people who are involved in training and capacity building for people to engage in sports. We have a state-of-the-art swimming pool as well. So we have a Olympic-sized swimming pool. There are national level swimmers who are in our university. There are national level tennis players. So there is a very active sports culture, but unfortunately it's only limited to those people who do this. And we try a lot, and there's yoga and Pilates and all these things. I have a funny story to share with parents about it. So a few years ago, a parent had come to see me, and parent said, Professor, it's very, very, everything is so beautiful here. But so few people are doing, yoga. So I suggest you should make yoga compulsory to all your students. So now, of course, I was in a very awkward position. So I said, well, I appreciate your suggestion. But, one of the things about university education is that we need to give a lot of, freedom and agency for individuals to make their choices. So we should have a playground. We should have tennis grounds. We should have cricket grounds. We should have a yoga teacher. We should have yoga mats. We can even tell yoga is going to happen on this date and time. But the last bit we won't be able to do, because you know what? We are all used to doing this in schools, right? I mean, schools have, parent-teacher meeting and fixed time for doing things. So that's exactly the huge dilemma that we always face in universities. So we don't have compulsory sports, or for that matter, uniform in the university. Although I'm sure some of our parents and some of our faculty might even want it. But that's your question.
Thank you, sir.
Brijesh. All right.
Question, please.
Oh, please go ahead, Prabir.
Hi. This is my daughter. She has
just 1 minute. I'm running late a bit. I'll join you in a few minutes.
Sorry. While Professor Rajkumar is talking, The IT team tells us we have to finish by 5:30. So if you could keep your question brief, and we will organize another open house soon.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, this is for my daughter. Like she has got admission. This Pallavi, my wife. Just wanted to know, lot many students want to prepare for CAT examination or UPSC examination. Do you have something like coaching in the campus?
Great. Wonderful question. Thank you, Probir, right? Your name is
Probir.
Thank you, Probir. Yes, we actually, a few years ago, this request had come. So we have now, we don't do this, but what we have done is we have developed some sort of arrangement with, competitive examination coaching centers who actually would come for certain days. In any case, I would not recommend this to happen in the first year or so. In the latter part of one's undergrad education, if such a pathway needs to be provided, the university does create opportunities for students. We don't come in the financial arrangement between the student and the agency, but we create an opportunity for that coaching to take place.
Do you have something like that right now?
Yes, we do. In fact, there are students who have, it's not a fixed arrangement because it will all depend upon at a given point of time how many students are enrolled in it. So what we do is we have some approved organizations where our faculty members have done some due diligence, good coaching centers who can prepare students for competitive examination. But normally what happens is that it happens not in the first year. I don't know of any first year student entering in because it's not a good thing to do, because allow them to experience a bit of campus life and have foundational learning, and progressively maybe in the second part of the second year and well into the third year is a good time. But we can happily share some information with you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
All right, Vimal, this is my last question. I need to rush now. Vimal, my question to you, answer to is that, you see, I studied in Delhi University, and before that I was in Loyola College. Loyola College, we used to be called in Chennai. There was a time when Chennai has these colleges. It used to be called Gentlemen of Presidency. And I don't want to use the word what they would call for Pache Pass College. And we were called slaves of Loyola. Loyola College had, it's completely we were domesticated, and we were just, our goals and role was very defined. But when I came to Delhi University, I saw politics, national politics right on campus. DU was a microcosm of national politics. The political parties directly had organizations. The campaign still was no different. All kinds of things that I was shocked to witness that. And it was like how national elections would happen. Because over the years, it's changed there as well. So to answer your question, we have been consciously developing an institutional culture where democratic responsibility for students need to be infused through a process of students electing student council members and participating in various decision-making and even engaging with the faculty and the administration on various matters. And that's something which we have developed, and we have a vibrant student council culture. However, we are very fortunate, and we have kept it that way, that student council culture should not be reflecting and become the microcosm of the national political culture. We have fortunately kept the political parties taking over, or for that matter, student councils defined by the political ideologies. That has enabled a very rich diversity in terms of students having views and perspectives, and sometimes very strong views and perspectives about their own ideological and political interest and lineage, and which is fine with us. So to answer your question, we do believe that students need to take responsibility, and early beginnings of democratic culture need to be promoted within the institution in this manner. But we want to draw a line so that these students are evolved into young, responsible adults and are able to take decisions in a meaningful manner and are able to together take people along, accept different views and perspectives, try to find a fine balance even in difficult situations. Those are the ways by which our student council and our student politics has evolved. I hope that helps.
Absolutely, sir. Thank you so much.
All right. What a pleasure. Thank you so much for all of you. And I'm so sorry I need to leave. I wish I can continue this more. I'm actually having a big colloquium today with 5 very distinguished professors on future of democracy and law. And it's called Tryst with Destiny, drawing upon Pandit Nehru's speech right at the founding. So that's, I'm going in for that. But it's a pleasure to meet all of you. And congratulations once again. I look forward to seeing you on campus. And thank you, Kathleen and Jenny and all the faculty members who are part of it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Professor Rajkumar, for your time. And thank you very much, everyone, really, for joining in. I'm very sorry for our students, Manav, Justika, Sharnita, who joined in. But we promise to have another open house soon with more inputs from our students. And if there are any questions that are left unanswered, especially, the questions about difficulties of learning, there's a whole bit of unlearning that takes place in the first semester, but we can talk more about that in the other open house. So please join in and please feel free to write in to us. We are available on email. So if you have very specific questions, our emails are there on the website. Please feel free to reach out to us, and we'll be in touch soon again with other details. Thank you, and bye-bye. Yes, yes, Shreya.
Yeah, I was just wondering if you could also connect a few of us. I saw one more student who had applied from Chennai. Would it be possible for you to create an ecosystem so that at least we start the interactions ahead of the curve?
Sure, I will request the admissions team to look into this if there can be city-based groups. So let's say all students from Chennai who have applied to JSLH and maybe to JGU, to other schools as well.
Thank you, appreciate it. And maybe the alumni from Chennai as well. So that would help these guys get a better understanding from a cultural perspective as well.
Sure. I mean,
Thank you.
As Modrowski mentioned, would you like to say a few words, Kathleen? We can't hear you.
I know, I'm trying to unmute. Okay, can you hear me?
I have a question. Can you please?
Sorry, who has a question? I think we've really run out of time. The IT team, they have another webinar starting very soon. So would you mind writing into us?
Sure.
Yeah, you can access on the chat. So you could access on the chat, run into your question, and someone will answer you. Thank you all very much for coming. It's really exciting. And we will follow up with some of the activities I mentioned, because this will give you the opportunity to meet each other, to meet your professors, to meet your mentors, and to really get engaged with activities as to the introduction of how we work, how we study. I believe that the exercise of doing a common reading and also an analysis that we will be doing of the virtual tours will give you an idea of what experiential learning does. So thank you all very much, Jenny. Thank you, faculty, and all the students and parents who came. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.